Welcome back to the Sarasota Polo Club and NGN's continuing coverage of the USA Ultimate Club Championships 2012. We are now in a pre-quarterfinal round, the first round of straight single elimination, and we have a mixed division game for you between the Bay Area's Mischief in red and Boston's Slow White in white. These are two teams with a long and storied history. My name is Kyle Weisbrod. I'm here with Jackson Kelsey. Jackson, why don't you tell us a little about these teams?
Well, Mischief this year actually has a lot of new players on their team. From last year, they only have 8 returning men from their team. They lost all of their women from last year. 4 of the players went over to play with Blackbird as Blackbird went on to play in the Worlds. And then they lost some women to pregnancy. Some women didn't like how last year ended. So it's really a pretty new team. They do have returners. The captains are Matt West and Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith has been on the team off and on for about 10 years. So Mischief is really new. They haven't seen Slow White this year. These two teams did meet in 2006 for the Nationals, or for the final game. Mischief winning that game. And actually Mischief did pick up a player from Slow White last year, Chris Farina. And on Slow White's side, talking with them before the game, they said they really didn't have a big star player or anything like that. They don't have one player that they go to. They try to play as much as a team as they can. And we're underway.
So Slow White pulling, Micah Flynn with the pull. Mischief picking up. Big out of a horizontal stack. And a huge block right off the bat from number 3. That's Chuck McBride from Slow White. Good position here. McBride with the disc. Micah Flynn working to get open on the open side. Flynn looking to break. Travel called.
Actually think that was a foul call downfield. Players in front of the disc saying there was some contact. I believe it was an offensive foul, and simultaneously a travel call. Looks like the observers are figuring things out.
So the downfield players there, Trahey from Slow White making the cut. Adam Leventhal in red for Mischief on defense. Big opportunity here on the very first point. Conditions are still very windy here in Sarasota. Right now, Slow White with the disc is working upwind. Flynn looking for the forehand. Has a receiver and a shot to the end zone. And Slow White on the board first, 1-0.
That was Lexi Zalk with the goal. That was Lindsay Neubecker with the first goal of the game. Slow White breaks that upwind. Talking with both teams before the game, there was also, because it's so windy out here, instead of standard O-line and D-line that they'd be putting out, they are putting in upwind and downwind teams. So right there, Slow White had their upwind team going. So you're not seeing a lot of their traditional offensive players that you would see. Mischief is playing a little bit differently. They just switch their O-line and D-line. So D-line will be going downwind and O-line will be going upwind. So right now on the field, you see Mischief's O-line.
And the idea here for Mischief is to get more hands on the upwind where it's much more difficult to work it up the field. And then strong defensive players on that D-line, making sure that you're protecting that end zone, that important, and stopping that important break upwind. So Mischief in red receiving, second point of the game. Slow White up, 1-0. That's Mike Miller with the disc for the pull. Big Blady outside in throw. It's going to land deep in the end zone and roll. Nice pull. Mischief centers up.
Mike Miller, a guy that Slow White will be looking to have the big throws this game, especially going downwind and upwind.
So Mischief looking out of a side stack here. And turnover. That was Ethan Brown with the turn. So Slow White getting another opportunity here. Mike Miller going to pick up the disc. Slow White in a vertical stack.
Marked by Chris Farina, played on Slow White last year. Throw goes up. Little miscommunication there. Cassidy Edwards decided he was coming back. Then he saw the throw was going deep. Wind might have caught it a little. Mischief's disc.
So Matt West with the disc, captain of Mischief, picking it up. Slow White forcing back in. He puts up one right away. Has a receiver. Kevin Smith. Smith centering it. That's Bowring with the disc. Back to Matt West.
Yeah,
and Matt West can't hold on to it.
As we saw last game, Mike Nattenberg started off the game. He's the captain of double wide, really set the tone. There's a captain of Mischief dropping there. Hopefully for them, the trend doesn't continue.
Mike Miller coming down with it. Slow White centers. Pick called in the middle of the stack. Does not affect the play here, so this stays. Slow White about 10 yards out. Here's a shot to the end zone. This one's a high floaty one. Wind picks it up. But Slow White able to come down with it. That's Kirsten Lundquist with the goal. And Slow White off to a 2-0 lead.
Difficult throw from Paul Sohn. Throws it outside. He's able to put enough spin on it that the wind doesn't catch it and it doesn't sail out the back. It sits right in Lundquist's hands.
A nice read by Lundquist there. She could have attacked it early, but she saw that the wind was picking it up, stopped her cut, and then just tracked it down. You know, of course this game is for quarterfinals, but with the USA Ultimates Club restructuring, this game is also the deciding game for which teams make it into the pro tier next year.
Very true.
So the winner of this game will have opportunities to play the top 8 teams consistently throughout the season at scheduled tournaments. And the team that loses this will be in the elite tier with the bottom 8 teams here at Nationals.
Yeah, and both these teams, Mischief and Slow White, when you think of mixed, these are staples in the competitive ultimate world.
So Micah Flynn with the pull. Big hanging pull. It's pushed back to about midfield. Mischief taking a shot, looking to get on the board. Almost sits down, but just a little too much wind, and Adam Brown can't come up with it.
Adam Brown, very speedy player for Mischief. They're going to be looking to throw to him a lot in the end zone. As we said earlier, this is Mischief's D-line because they're going downwind. See if they can hold off Slow White's attack.
Nice IO flick there from Flynn up to number 25, Alex Trahey.
Foul by Leventhal just to stop the flow. He saw that number 25, Alex Trahey, had an open look. Foul to stop the flow.
Oh, nice break mark from McBride. McBride with the backhand. And foul called. That's Lindsay Newbecker with the disc. So Slow White here threatening again to get another break upwind this time. Lots of pressure here on Mischief early.
Newbecker already 1 goal in this game, catching the first goal of the game going upwind.
A little discussion here about the foul call. Neubecker. Let's take another look at this one. So Neubecker pivoting. Mark definitely moving there. But both players responsible there for keeping that distance.
Neubecker marked by Deanna Bjorkquist.
So the observer rules it's a foul. This comes in at 0. Neubecker now with the disc. Up to Glickman. Trahey. Trahey looking for the IO and finds it, but dropped.
Dropped by number 3, Christmas McBride. Mischief going deep, looking for their speedy receiver, Adam Brown. One drop deserves another.
So that trade-off definitely benefits Mischief here. As now Slow White has to work all 70 yards. Flynn with the disc. Finds Vicky Chang. Chang, a strong thrower for the Slow White team out of University of Michigan. Just graduated this year after semis run in college nationals. She's originally from the Boston area, went to Andover High School. Chang up to Neubecker. High stall count, Neubecker pivoting somewhat wildly here. McBride bails her out. All the way across to Micah Flynn. Slow White struggling to get movement. Nice break from Flynn.
No pivot on that backhand. Stands out with a forehand pivot and reaches down just with his upper body. Low inside break.
Some more contact here between Neubecker and Bjorkquist. Physical matchup between these two.
Update from the open side plan. Chain taking the early lead on Johnny Bravo, 3-0.
Another foul called.
Wow. It's a good thing this isn't basketball. Bjorkquist already have 4 fouls in danger of fouling out.
And the reset to Flynn. Wynn pushes it down. Flynn unable to come up with it after the bid. So Mischief here with their best opportunity.
Leventhal fouled by Trahey. No contest coming in on 0.
Leventhal breaks the mark. A shot to the end zone, but way in front of the receiver, and Micah Flynn also poaching there.
I don't think the thrower saw the poach sitting out in the lane. They were really focused on their receiver. That was Nalavati breaking to the open side. However, there was a poach sitting there. Had they seen the poach, they probably would have holstered that.
Nice block.
Big layout D.
Some confusion here. Looks like Mischief on the goal line.
Jasper Hoitzma with it. Last year played on Boston Ironside. Leventhal finds number 9, Preethi Nalavati. Mischief gets their first goal.
So big point there. Matt Heffernan, the one with the block, excuse me. Big point for Mischief. Slow White had it on their goal line, unable to punch it in, and that drop very costly. The drop by McBride ends up with Mischief being able to score downwind and get their upwind lined in here. There's a little discussion between the Slow White players and Mischief. That's Leventhal chatting it up with Trahey. They were marked up on each other in that last point. A lot of contact, a couple calls between them. I think they're just trying to work out what acceptable level of physicality is between them.
That's the thing about Ultimate, you don't see in professional level sports in basketball or football on the sidelines. Whoa.
It looks like they made up.
Trying to plant one on him. Why not?
So these teams seem to get along very well, maybe too well.
High spirits.
So Slow White, their downwind possession, working down very quickly. And here's a shot.
Easy point from Slow White. Mischief just looked like they were trailing, not by 1 step, not by 2 steps, but by 5 steps.
So Batista to Sullivan there for the score. Slow White, very different than Mischief offense going downwind. Mischief offense really struggling. On the other hand, Slow White, I mean, just wide open players. And every throw easy, no turns, and able to punch it in. So Slow White opens up to an early 3-1 lead.
Actually, what I was trying to say between the other points, in basketball or football or baseball, you're not going to see players on the sidelines talking about how physical is it okay for me to get. There's not really that sort of camaraderie between the players, but in Ultimate you see that often.
Unless you're a first baseman in baseball, right? Those guys are always chatting up to
true.
others.
True that.
Probably not making out though, like we just saw.
Yeah.
Wind's been the big story this weekend. Really just strong wind, and it's been tough for these teams. You know, they game plan all season long, you know, for specific games. And, you know, you talk to a lot of these coaches and the captains of the teams, and they say, well, you know, we're not really thinking about the matchups. We just want to be able to throw and catch in these conditions. You know, that's what's beating us. We're not being beat by other teams. We're beating ourselves.
Right.
And it's an interesting dynamic here to have just this consistent wind all weekend long.
Pole rolls up 10 yards gained.
So Leventhal up to number 11, Deanna Bjorkquist, and Bjorkquist with a shot and just missed. And Kirk Wilmarth with the catch and the goal over Micah Flynn.
Micah Flynn had that D. Catch your Ds.
Lots of movement on these throws. Micah unhappy with himself there. There's another look at it. Looked like he was actually trying to catch that one. And the wind just pushed a little low, went off his wrist, and right into the hands of Heffernan.
That's the thing, you have teams saying, oh, this wind, it's really messing with our game, but it's not like the wind is focusing on one team more than the other. All of these teams are having to play in these conditions, so it's really affecting all teams the same. It's really how can you adjust to this adversity, this adverse weather condition. If it was really rainy out here, that it's going to be more wet and would slip off your hand. Here it just happens to be a 25-mile-an-hour wind. Put more spin on it, more inside out, and hope the wind doesn't gust.
And you've got to prepare for the conditions that you're going to face. You know, I'm sure the teams have different strategies, different defensive looks, different offensive looks for the conditions that they might face. You know, you might have a zone specifically for a crosswind situation or an upwind and downwind situation, and then you'd be prepared to be able to pull those things out.
I'm surprised we haven't seen a zone look from either of these teams. Generally, at least in the college division, what I played a lot of, whenever it's really windy, teams are playing trap zones or they're forcing it to one side. I think of Florida's defense, famous for that 4-man cup with having 4 6'3" guys all in your face, really pushing that double team boundary. But here, these teams are playing man, and just sizing each other up and want to beat each other.
A shot through the middle there, knocked down by number 55, Andrea Bowring.
Oh, and then dropped by Captain Matt West. Trying to say he caught it off his foot. I don't think so. Looked like it hit the ground.
Here's another look at it.
Bounced off the ground. No way.
Let's take another look from this angle. So it comes off his hand. That one looks very clearly on the ground from that
Bounced
angle.
off his knee and hit the ground. Matt West maintains possession.
So the observers on that one rule it up. Travel called, so it stops again.
Must be a very persuasive fellow.
So Kevin Smith.
Veteran of this team.
Smith with a long shot. Up in the air, number 4, Ethan Brown comes down with it. 6'4", using his full frame on that one. Back to Matt West. West around to Danica Fong. High stall count. Fong looks to West, not there. Goes to lefty for the little break. Nice move. And Kevin Smith with the shot to Bowring. And Bowring in the upwind end zone.
Mischief ties the game. That was a break.
So Mischief getting the big one back. Danica Fong opening that up with that nifty little lefty backhand. And of course that big throw here from Kevin Smith. Pulled down by Adam Brown. And another nice throw from Kevin Smith. That forehand really hung out well for Bowring.
I think another thing that opened up that point was the ability of Matt West to convince the observers that it didn't bounce off the ground. Total missed call. However, point is on the board, and we are tied at 3s.
Definitely a tough break here for Slow White. And now Mischief going downwind with their first opportunity to take a lead. You know, a couple big swings. I mean, that drop that was called up, and then the drop a couple points ago that was called up that would have been, or the drop that was a drop. It would have been a goal to take Slow White up to 3-0 early.
Yeah.
And here we are at a tied game. And Slow White, to me, has looked a lot better throughout this game, despite that. So Heffernan with the pull. He's going deep and out the back.
Heffernan must have had his Wheaties this morning. I'm sure that wind helped a bit there. Jasper Hoytsma. Earlier in the game, I said that Hoytsma was on Slow White on accident, but he's actually, or yeah, he is on Slow White, but I said that he was on Mischief. He is on Slow White. Played on Ironside last year.
So Hoytsma marked by Leventhal. Side stack here. One cutter out in the lane. Here comes the Phil. McBride. Swing over to Hoytsma. Here's a shot deep. Great form from Hoytsma. And the catch by number 42. That's Mary Glickman for the goal.
Not much pivot here on that throw. He stepped out and then didn't pivot at all. Just threw from a standstill. Was able to put enough spin on that. Kept it inside. Came over. It's number 42, Wendell Wilson. No, Mary Glickman, right in stride.
Yeah, great wrist snap there from Hoytsma and great angle of release, a little IO, and so it flattened out in that upwind situation. So Slow White doing it very easily on that possession going upwind. Puts the pressure right back Back on to Mischief for this upwind point. Mike Miller here from Slow White with the disc. Getting ready to pull.
Update from the other open pre-quarter game. Machine taking the early lead on Rhino 3-0.
So contact downfield as the disc gets centered up to Kevin Smith. A little discussion. Won't change much as Smith had just gotten the disc, so either way it's going to be a stall kind of 0 or very low. Observer rules it is a foul. 2 observers here in green, Mark Fritz and Charlie Grievers. Observer's been on all of these showcase games, doing a really good job of keeping these games moving. Farina dishes down to Matt West. Pick called, middle of the field. West, marked by Mike Miller.
Ethan Brown stepped onto the field. Just in on 0. Matt West to put it in play.
Stall count on 0. West with the break. Back to Mike Miller. West. Nice grab. Shirley Wu.
Almost a run through D there.
And Miller taking a shot right away. Bit of a poor read there from Todd Herman, 55 from Slow White. Looked like he stopped, looked like he was going to try to attack it early, and then realized that this was going further than he thought it was and couldn't quite make up the ground. Here's another look at it.
Caught a gust of wind just at the end.
I think if he just run that one out, he would have pulled that one in.
Chris Farina there on D. Played with a lot of these players here on Slow White.
Kevin Smith with the shot from power position downfield. Big one.
Throw.
Danica Fong on the goal line calls the timeout. Very nice movement there from Mischief. They work it across the field. Kevin Smith charging across, getting in that power position, and then a great low release there. Lots of snap, and right on to Fong on the line. So here's Mischief now with an opportunity on the goal line. This is a big one for them. All of these upwind points are incredibly important.
Very difficult to work the field work the disc 70 yards up the field, especially swinging it across. There's kind of a crosswind coming from that cone behind the Slow White players back towards the end zone. You have to swing it across with your forehand, and then the throw there from Kevin Smith all the way up the field.
So Fong going to put the disc in. Looks like West is set up as her primary dump. Kevin Smith is the secondary. Sorry, Chris Farina is the secondary dump. Kevin Smith first in the stack. West initiates. This comes back all the way across to Farina. And Farina all the way to the opposite end zone, cone, and out of reach for Shirley Wu.
Looked like that was their set play coming out the timeout. Simple dump, swing, hit the front of the stack.
You know, I know that's a real classic type of end zone play in those situations, but that's a lot of yards to have to cover with the disc when you're that close to the end zone.
It's true. You almost think take a shot right here, right now.
You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense to go 40 when you only need 3 to score.
It's true. That's Ethan Brown with the D.
Across to Fong. So Mischief able to get the disc back here, and Fong not happy with the contact there from Jamie Shed. 37 on slow white. Observer comes in, rules it is a foul. So Shed rotating that mark, leaving a big opening. Up to Farina. Farina finds Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith in a position he likes to be in, but there's no receiver for him.
Falls over and rifles it to Bowring. And Bowring hits Ethan Brown. Mischief scores. They tie it at 4s.
So 3 consecutive upwind goals here in this game. And Mischief ties it back up again at 4-4.
Mischief 4, slow right 4.
Updates from other open pre-quarters games. Chain up 6-2 on Bravo. Machine up 4-0 on Rhino.
Machine up 4-0. Thought the earlier update was that Rhino was up 3-0.
No, it was Machine.
Machine's up
Machine
4-0.
was up 4. Yeah, Machine is up 4-0.
Rhino's had a long road this week and lots of long games and long points.
Double game point is the story this year. They've had 11 double point games this year. Won 9 of them.
So big pull here from Mischief. Slides into Hoitzma. Nice grab by Hoitzma. Hoitzma marked by 24, Leventhal. Oh, and a big foot block. Looks like this one may be coming back on a foul.
It's a great confident grab from Jasper Hoitzma. Grabs it right in front of Leventhal.
So Jeff Smith calls the foul here.
Machine now up 5-0.
Wilmarth on the mark. And here's a shot deep. Up to number 4. Truesdale. Truesdale near the goal line. Hoitzma. And Hoitzma pushes that one in. And another upwind score. Slow white up 5-4. Another look at that big shot up the field, up to Truesdale. See Hoitzma trailing. And just an easy little shovel pass there to Dan Batista, who caught the goal. Both teams handling the wind, going upwind pretty well. Again, I'm surprised that neither of these teams are playing zone in either direction. You know, I think the key going upwind is to get yourself into a good position and take these shots. You know, get into the hands of your really good throwers and take good shots. And a lot of times in a zone, you can contain that a lot better. You make it hard for those big throws to go up, and you force a team to go back and forth, depending on the type of zone you're playing.
Yeah, the goal when you're playing a zone is to really have a lot of passes horizontally across the field. But both these teams, when you're playing man, it's a lot easier to throw it vertically, north and south, up and down the field. Opportunity to gain yards. Your defender's off balance. Neither of these teams on defense is really containing the other team's offense. They're kind of letting them run around. A zone might help with that.
So this gets away for a second from Farina. Centered up. That one's up to Kevin Smith, but looks like Slow White's calling it down. Here's another look at it. Looks up from this angle.
I think what the Slow White player is arguing is that because he pancaked it, it seemed as though the disc changed direction, and as he was pancaking it, the edge trailed against the ground.
Here's the slow motion. Ooh. That is a close one.
Oh.
I think that on that look with that slow motion, that one definitely looks down for Smith. Looks like the observers are going to choose not to rule. They're going to send it back. Back to Met West. How far away are we from instant replay and ultimate, you think? Like observers ruling on instant replay. Whew. Get an official up in the booth. Booth replay.
I don't know. If Major League Ultimate and things like that can establish themselves, generate some revenue, you could see it in 10 years maybe.
Fong unable to hold on to that one as Mischief was working downfield. And here's Slow White with a shot. Micah Flynn falls down in front of him. I think that's a good look there for Slow White. Not too far off from a goal. So West again with the disc now. And West taking a shot right away to Kevin Smith. Nice throw. Smith pulls it down. Great defense from Slow White there, but a foul call. That was Ryan Richardson with the block. Here's another look at it. A lot of contact there, and Richardson didn't touch the disc, but I'm not sure that's a foul. Be interesting to see what the observers rule.
That's last year player Farina, played with Slow White.
We're going to take another look at it.
It almost seemed that Richardson had the space before Farina could get to it. There was contact, but oftentimes players D it and then create contact.
Well, this one went back to the thrower here, so they ruled it was, the observers chose not to rule, or the player sent it back. And Mischief turns it over. Travel called.
Chris Waite didn't ground tap it as he was bringing it back into the playing field proper. That's why the travel was called.
McBride centers it up to Meriden Darcy. Some movement there. Nice break from McBride. A little IO backhand. Jamie Shedd. Travel. Gonna bring this one back. Brings back a few throws. Kevin Smith calling the foul. Calling the travel, excuse me. Observer rules no travel.
Ethan Brown on the mark.
So McBride marked by Ethan Brown. To Jamie. To Richardson. High pass pulled down by McBride up to Micah Flynn. Flynn lays one out. And caught
pinpoint
by Chris Waite. And Slow White finally able to convert the downwinder and take the 2-point lead, 6-4.
Great grab right here by McBride. Reaches back over his head.
Just beautiful touch on this throw right here. You can see him, he kind of like snaps his wrist at the end of his extension, lets the wind do the work to push it, and maintains its spin and its flatness from that spin.
Yeah, the disc didn't jump at all. It came out smooth and it followed the same path. Didn't speed up too much. It was coming out hot and sat back right in Chris Waite's hands. Slow White gets a break. They take the lead 6-4, stops the string of upwind offensive goals. Rhino finally getting on the board. They've scored 2 in a row. They still trail Machine by 3. Scores Rhino 2, Machine 5. The other open game, Johnny Bravo trails Chain 3-6. We don't have any updates from the women's games yet. Haven't seen anything posted. Michael Miller with the pull.
So Mischief on offense here, down 6-4 against Slow White. Slow White again in a man-to-man, straight up. Here's a shot deep. And coming in from the backside is number 14, that's Kirk Wilmarth. I believe the intended receiver was Malavade.
That throw coming from Matt Heffernan. Kind of leans back. Wilmarth able to track that one down. Mischief not wasting any time, not allowing Slow White to gain much momentum.
Just got an update from the women's pre-quarter action. Ozone from Atlanta and Boston's Brute Squad. Ozone up 6-2. Ozone working up from the bottom brackets. So Mischief making quick work of that last point, 6-5. Looking to get that upwind break back. Matt West to pull. Offsides called. So offsides rule here in Ultimate, much like it is in football. You cannot cross the line until the disc has been released. First call is a warning call and it results in a repull. Second one results in a yardage penalty. The defense is offsides. The offense will get it at their attacking brick mark, so 20 yards outside the end zone.
Updates from open play. Chain takes half on Bravo, 8-3. Rhino getting another point. Machine still leads 5, Rhino 3.
So repull here from Matt West. This one's high and Blady. Lands just close to midfield. Slow White in their vert stack. West poaching the lane some. Quick movement from Slow White. And here's a shot to the end zone. Across. Oh! Todd Herman with the bid for Slow White, in and out of his hand. He was really close to making that grab. Lots of speed on that disc.
Yeah, lots of extension there. His 6'4" frame, fully extended. Got his hand out there, just couldn't grasp the edge.
So West to pick it up for Mischief, looking for a break, upwind. West takes a shot, has Kevin Smith, but the disc does not hold its edge. Out of bounds. Across the field for Slow White. Kim Sabo. Back to the other side, over the head of the intended receiver there, Jeff Smith.
It's like there was a collision between two Slow White players. One of them probably able to make a play had there not been a collision. The disc was floating.
Matt West with a nice fake with a backhand break to Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith looking for the backhand, pulls it back. And across the field to Bjorkquist, or actually Bowring. Bowring back to West, to Kevin Smith. Nice movement here from Mischief. Ethan Brown. Kevin Smith. And Smith with the shot to Brown. And off his hands. Big turnover there.
Looked like he thought he was going to hit the ground before he caught it. Clasped his hands just a little bit early. See the disc goes up. He starts to lean. Maybe a little scared of hitting the ground and focus on catching the disc.
So Brown actually takes an injury sub. Coming in for Brown is number 42, Wendell Wilson. Slow White also takes a sub. Coming on the field is 13, Dan Patista. So Slow White now hoping to capitalize on this opportunity given them by Mischief. And off the hands of one receiver, but another one catches it. Truesdale with a big shot. Two receivers. And number 9, Jeff Smith pulls that one down. Big swing there for Mischief. Mischief dropping the end zone goal, upwind, and Slow White converting quickly.
So close to getting that break and tying it at 6s. Instead, Slow White again extends their lead back to 2. See here.
Great heads-up play from Mary Glickman, number 42. And a nice shot here. Two receivers. Easy catch from Jeff Smith.
Just puts it up into the wind.
So Slow White here, their first opportunity for half, up 7-5.
This is the long road for these teams. This is the extra game. If any of them are going to compete later on in this tournament, it's really going to be challenging, having to dig deep. They've been training all year long. This is, of course, the one pre-quarters round. All the other teams in quarters get that bye.
So McBride with the disc here to pull for Slow White. McBride with the pull, low pull. Rolls a little bit, out of bounds. Leventhal to pick the disc up. Marked by Hoitzma. Jessica Matting with the disc. Looks for the reset. floaty one, and Hoytsma comes down with it. Hoytsma, outlet pass right away. Up to Alex Trahey. And Trahey calls the timeout. And Slow White looks to put it in and take half. So as they take a break, we're going to take a quick break as well. Come join us for the end of this first half momentarily. Welcome back. Out of the timeout here from Slow White, up 7-5. Alex Trahey with the disc. Slow White looking to punch it in here. Hoytsma with the initial cut from the reset. Goes across to Chris Waite. Waite all the way across the field to McBride. Call on the mark here. Stops play. Disc check back in. McBride with the IO. And out of the reach of Kirsten Lundquist. Can't come down with it. So Slow White unable to convert off the timeout, giving Mischief the disc again. And Mischief right at it. Nice catch over the top. And punching it in.
Tiziana Bjorkquist with the goal. Slow White almost able to break into half, extend their lead to 3. However, Waite overthrows Lindquist. Mischief takes a shot downfield and finds Bjorkquist.
So the big huck off the turnover there was Heffernan to Wilmarth. Connection is working very well for Mischief so far. Here's another look at it, right off of it, forehand. Wilmarth tracks this one really well, goes up strong. That's a tough angle to catch a disc at, coming kind of across and over the top.
He almost caught the trailing edge as the disc was coming down.
And the easy +1 to Bjorkquist. So 7-6. Mischief gets that one. Still down 1 upwind break.
Update from women's pre-quarters. Capitals up on Traffic 7-4. And Ozone up on Brute Squad 6-3.
Matt West, the full for Mischief.
So Matt West with the pull for Mischief. Jeff Smith with the disc. Jeff Smith with another shot. This one very long.
Rides the win out of bounds.
Truesdale, intended receiver. So Matt West to pick up here. Marked by Steve Sullivan from Slow White. West working, finds Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith looking to go deep, puts it and calls, does not call the foul. It's a very low throw. I think he expected contact there.
Just didn't get it.
Steve Sullivan. Dan Batista over the top. Pick call in the middle of this. This one looks like it's going to be coming back. No, never mind. The pick did not impact the continued play. I was right the first time. This one's coming back. Batista up to 21. Steve Sullivan. Sullivan out wide to Smith. And Smith to the end zone to Rosie Agno for the goal. And Slow White takes half, 8-6. Slow White will be receiving to start going downwind. So they get that break to stick for the first half. And as the wind picks up here, we'll be taking a halftime break. This is NGN Network with encoding from Elemental Technologies. Stay tuned, we'll be on a different stream for the second half. Definitely come and find us as we close out this round.